The smear campaign for Tim Ballard, the real-life hero depicted in the film Sound of Freedom, has just reached its all-time height. The Salt Lake Tribune writer Robert Gerke has gone scorched earth on Ballard. In today's episode, we take a look at both sides of the issue and we see what's happening here. Sound of Freedom update time. Coach's Archives. Let's go. So Robert Gerke writes for the Salt Lake Tribune saying Tim Ballard's story in The Sound of Freedom seems too good to be true because it isn't true. And we see the subtitle here, Court Records Paint a Starkly Different Narrative from the one in the film and that Ballard has repeatedly told publicly. If you'd like to read the entire article written by Gerke, head over to the Salt Lake Tribune. For the purposes of this video, however, we're only going to look at the parts that are relevant. Tim Ballard says there was one incident that prompted him to devote his life to rescuing children from sex trafficking. According to court records, in 2006, Border Patrol agents stopped a van crossing the U.S. border in Calico. The man driving the van, Earl Buchanan, had a young boy with him, but no ID for the boy, so they did a secondary inspection. In the course of that check, they found a videotape where Buchanan was molesting the boy and notified Immigration and Customs Enforcement. Ballard, an ICE agent at the time, responded, arriving at the scene 2 hours after the initial stop. According to Ballard's sworn statement, he asked Buchanan a couple of questions. Buchanan invoked his Miranda rights. Ballard took his fingerprints, and Buchanan was arrested. And the Salt Lake Tribune has their receipts. Here is the official court document. You guys could read that. It is literally all in there, exactly what he just said. Gerke continues, Ballard's telling over the years is more sensational. Here's one summary of how he recounted the events.
When was the moment where you saw something that just said, I'm taking this on as a life mission, not just as a part of my job, but...
It was the first time I saw a child that was from the videos. When I was like, this is it. I had to make a decision at that point. So what had happened was we got intel, an American man was kidnapping children in Mexico, smuggling them into the United States. And in San Bernardino, you can look this case up. His name's Earl Buchanan. You can look it up. You can Google, learn all about the case. He had a compound up in San Bernardino where he was taking the kids and he was filming his sex acts with these kids.
He was having sex with them and filming it. And then what, selling it online or?
Keeping it for himself, sharing it with people. And so this guy's coming across the border and we're on the scene and we get the kid out, this 5-year-old boy. And it was the moment that he ran.
5-year-old boy.
5-year-old boy.
Gosh.
And I recognized him from the video.
Just to point out for the purpose of the video, Ballard just said, I saw that kid on video. ICE had gathered intel that this man was kidnapping children in Mexico and transporting them across the border for the sex trade. An operation was set up and Ballard recognized the boy, who'd allegedly been kidnapped as an infant, from a video he had seen, stopped Buchanan, and he was arrested. Gerke continues, but wait, there's more. The boy leapt into Ballard's arms and held him tight. Then the boy gave Ballard a dog tag with a Bible verse on it and asked Ballard to go find his sister, who had also been kidnapped. It became Ballard's driving mission to find the girl, and he says, in a subsequent raid on Buchanan's compound, 11 children ages 6 to 12 were recovered, including the sister. So the story that Gerke writes about right there is the basis for the new film, Sound of Freedom. If you've not seen it, that is pretty much it right there. Gerke writes there are obvious discrepancies between the story Ballard tells and the narrative in court documents. Ballard could not have recognized the boy in the video from the intel he had received because he arrived on the scene 2 hours after Buchanan was first stopped at the border and nobody knew the video existed until the stop. And that's according to the court document. The boy's face was not visible in the video. And again, as the Salt Lake Tribune is pointing out here, Tim Ballard said, I recognized the kid's face in the video. The boy's sister wasn't missing either. According to court documents, she was at home with her grandmother from the start and answered the phone when officers called the house. So Gerke lays out the discrepancies between the court documents and what Tim Ballard has actually said. And now he gets to his point. My beef here isn't really with fabrications in the movie. I'm sure people will be duped into believing the events depicted in Sound of Freedom actually happened. But we should know that when a film claims to be based on a true story, it can still be 99% fiction. We know Ballard, of course. He has made himself bigger than the cause, using the work as a springboard to fame, a healthy salary, and rumors of a potential run for political office. So now that we've seen what Gerke has to say about Ballard, let's see how accurate the movie really is. After all, Gerke just insinuated that the movie could be 99% false. History vs. Hollywood does a great job of laying out the discrepancies between the true story and what has been sensationalized. Did Tim Ballard grow frustrated after spending years stopping the end users of child pornography but never rescuing the kids? Yes, and then they give all of their receipts, of course. After being ordered to abort his mission in Colombia, did Tim Ballard quit his job so he could stay and rescue the children? And they say, largely accurate. Was Tim Ballard's wife okay with him quitting his job in order to rescue the children and complete his mission in Colombia? Yes. Are the villains in Sound of Freedom based on real people? And yes, every bad guy is real. Is the movie story of a woman posing as a talent recruiter and convincing a Honduran father to drop his daughter and son off at a talent tryout based in reality? For the most part, yes. And you could actually see the incredibly sick, twisted, disgusting person right here. The real-life picture. The real-life picture on the left. Is Bill Camp's character Vampiro based on a real person who helped Tim Ballard? Yes. Most important detail right here. How many women and children did Tim Ballard rescue during the operation depicted in the movie? The real Tim Ballard says that his team rescued 123 trafficking victims in Operation Triple Take in Colombia. 55 of them were minors. The film only gets into a piece of it, says Ballard. There's 54 rescued on that island depicted in the movie, but the op was bigger than that. In real life, the operation unfolded in 3 cities in Colombia over a 1-hour time period in October 2014. When 25 Colombian special operatives raided the party on the island depicted in the movie, they arrested 5 suspects, 4 men, and 1 former beauty queen. Of the 54 victims rescued on the island, 29 of them were under 18. The movie fictionalizes this a little by depicting all of the survivors rescued on the island as minors. So does Gerke and the Salt Lake Tribune shed light on some things that Tim Ballard has embellished, or some things that doesn't quite line up with what he said under oath in court documents? Absolutely, he does. And I can't tell you what's in Tim Ballard's mind. Maybe he's been a part of so many missions the stories just mixed together. Or, like Gerke says, maybe he's over-dramatizing the events in order to seek fame and fortune. All of that being said, let's see what Utah Attorney General Sean Reyes has to say about Tim Ballard.
Back to their families. And you changed my life. You've changed a lot of people's lives. And you haven't done it for you or Catherine. You guys could have cashed out, could have, again, stayed safe. It's always been about the children and what's best for the kids. And I want to be on record today. If you've heard, I mean, people hear all sorts of stuff. Oh, you know, it's about, this movie is about Tim Ballard. Well, of course it is, because you are the one, you were the visionary, you were the one who history books should write about as being just like those great abolitionists throughout our American history and throughout our world history. And man, it's exciting to be just along for the ride.
Just in case you're not aware, the man that you just heard speak, Sean Reyes, the Attorney General of Utah, he was on mission with Tim Ballard, working with o.u.r. out saving kids under the command of Ballard himself. So Gerke seems to have a major issue with Ballard acquiring any type of wealth from his experience. But we certainly live in a time where if you are a person who is making money, you will be vilified for doing so. In today's social climate, if somebody doesn't like you and you've got money, they're going to come at you from every angle possible, and they will go scorched earth mode if necessary. So many great movies have been based on a true story that have had great messages and great meaning behind them, but none of them are 100% accurate. For example, 1993's Rudy, starring Sean Astin, the inspiring tale of a low-level but beloved Notre Dame football player whose teammates threaten a walkout if their coach doesn't let him suit up. Then, motivated by the crowd chanting for Rudy, they purposefully defy their coach's plans so the scrappy underdog can play. Once he does, the team carries him off the field like he just won the Super Bowl. Though Rudy was a real person, everything I just told you about that movie is actually fiction. The team did carry him off the field after the game ended. That's the only thing that is remotely true. How about 1994's Braveheart, starring Mel Gibson? Hollywood's take on William Wallace's rebellion against the British is almost entirely fiction. The real Braveheart is actually Robert the Bruce, King of Scots, not William Wallace. And we could go on and on and on. I'm sure you get the point here. Robert Gerke ends his piece on Ballard by saying the following: but much of Ballard's origin story is flatly provable false, and the people who have donated tens of millions of dollars to Ballard's organizations deserve to know how much of what he has told them is true and how much has been concocted to fuel his celebrity status and ego. We will end today's episode by saying, I hope that Robert Gerke actually starts writing about things that actually matter, such as maybe anti-human trafficking. After all, it is a movement that is gaining a lot of attention right now thanks to some movie. Instead of conducting all of this research and taking his time just to point out Tim Ballard may be guilty of seeking fame. Sound of Freedom debuted on July the 4th. and I bet you can guess how many articles Robert Gehrke has actually written about anti-human trafficking between then and now. 0. Further, the money donated to o.u.r. will help against trafficking. Period. Americans and the good people around the world are not donating to o.u.r. because they have Tim Ballard posters on their walls. They're doing it because it's a great thing to do. Thank you for being here at Coach's Archives and watching this video, and thank you for sharing your voice in the comment section. I greatly appreciate those conversations. They mean a lot to me. May the good Lord rain down blessings on you and your family, but more importantly, draw you nearer to Him. All that in Jesus' name. See you on the next one.